Hi guys, it's Machaela and welcome back to my channel. If you notice the title of this video, it's talking about items that you'll need if you are planning to formula feed your baby. Whether you're planning on it or whether you're trying your hardest to breastfeed and it's just not working out. This is stuff that I've been using since my oldest was a baby, and I use this throughout my children, and hopefully I do plan on using these items again as I get ready to have my new baby who will be here soon. So a couple of disclaimers before we get started. One, I am not a doctor. This is purely my own experience. And two, I am by no means against breastfeeding. I think that there are great benefits to it. However, it's just not something that worked out for me, and because I love doing it the first time, I have just decided to continue doing it. So this is just items that have worked for me, and let's just go ahead and get started. First and foremost, if you are planning on formula feeding, you are going to need bottles. Now, what I would recommend, honestly, to start with, I would recommend getting something cheap. You can go to the dollar store, Walmart, any kind of discount store. You can get these for $1. Now, you can get the little 4-ounce sizes if you would like. However, I find that just getting the 8-ounce sizes, your baby can grow with them, and you could just continue to just use them, because you could put in like 1 to 2 ounces in these and it'll still be just as convenient as buying, you know, as using the little size 4-ounce bottles. It's a little bit easier. It's just, in my opinion, I'm like, why go spend the money on, even though it is only $1 on like a little 4-ounce bottle, when you can use these that'll grow with your baby. I would recommend getting the cheap ones first, and then if you need to, based on your child's needs, I would recommend trying something a little bit more specific to their needs, a little bit more expensive. Because my second was colic in the beginning, I went ahead and used Dr. Brown's Handicraft. They're just the Dr. Brown's anti-colic bottles. They come with this here, which is what it does, I believe, is it just eliminates the air from getting sucked up easier. So honestly, you have to have this, and these can get really messy. So if this part is not in to the bottle and you start feeding your baby without it, then milk will get everywhere. So you really do need to be careful to have these. Those are the only two types of bottle I have used. Again, trial and error. I would start with whatever's cheap and then work your way up to whatever may be specific to your baby's needs. That includes nipples, bottles, maybe cleaning supplies if it's very specific to your baby. But the cheap ones, honestly, since my daughter got past the colic stage, we just switched back to these ones, and they are super just easy and convenient. You could take them everywhere, and so that's for me what works. Nipples wise, again, they're just kind of attached to here. Get an excess of nipples. You're gonna have to switch them out like once every 3 to 6 months. I get something easy, I get something cheap, I just go ahead and get these ones. I'm hoping my camera will focus on it, but they're just the super basic ones. I like the kind that's a little bit bigger on the bottom, because they do stay in the bottle a little bit better and they're less messy. So that's just, and they're easy. I would recommend getting size 1 and just sticking to size 1. I never felt the need to size up unless you do have a preemie. In that case, you may want to go ahead and get the preemie nipple, but other than that, size 1 just works, and it works all the way through. Now, let's talk about formula. I use the Enfamil Gentle Ease formula. Now, a downside to formula feeding is that it does get expensive. However, there are programs that'll help supply you with the formula. I would just look into whatever's local to your area and your state, but there are programs that will help with that. But it does get expensive if you do not qualify, but it's okay. At the end of the day, we all want to do what is best for our child, and just for some of us, this is just part of it. Formula, however, can be tricky. With my oldest, I used the Enfamil, it's the Pro Sobe, the soy-based formula. With my second, she did not like that. She had tummy troubles on the soy-based, so we went to the Gentle Ease. This part here is going to take trial and error. I would suggest that between different types of formula uses, you wait 7 to 10 days before switching up a formula. Enough time for the old formula to completely get out of their system and for the new formula to take effect, and then see. So 7 to 10 days. This can take time. This can, it can get frustrating. But once you find the right formula, it's going to work all the way through, unless for some reason you need to change. In that case, do what you need to do for your baby. There is a lot of trial and error involved. And you know what? That's okay. My whole thing is, yes, you're going to have trials and error. You're going to do the same thing with breastfeeding. You're going to have to figure out what you can and cannot eat. And once you figure it out, I'm sure it becomes easier. I cannot speak to breastfeeding moms. I am not a breastfeeding mom. But this is where the trial and error comes in. And the same thing with the bottles and the nipples. It's all going to take trial and error. Again, same thing with breastfeeding. It's going to take trial and error. So whichever you choose to do what's best for you. Do what's best for your baby and for the family. So it's just always going to take a little bit of time. I would give it a month or two to really try and figure it out. With my oldest, I put her on Enfamil Pro Sobe. Tried it. It worked great. I even tried combo feeding with her. Every time I gave her the breast, she felt yucky. Every time I gave her the formula, she felt great. So then I just switched her completely to formula. With my oldest, it took 3 or 4 different types of formula to find the right one. With this one, who knows what'll happen, but I'm going to just start with what I know and go from there. And that's with anything, whether this is your first baby, maybe you just are concerned about formula feeding, or maybe it's your third baby, you successfully breastfed your first 2, but for some reason it's just not working out this time. So it's going to take time. Now let's move on to cleaning supplies. Now you can get things like sterilizers and things like that. However, I find that hand washing seems to do the trick. As the child gets older, you could probably get away with using a dishwasher. I know that most of like this stuff here is all dishwasher safe. I've used dishwashers in the past. I've also hand washed in the past. However, I would recommend that for the first 3 months or so, while you're still kind of in that newborn stage and you're still trying to kind of get their immunity built up to the world around them, I would recommend just hand washing everything, at least in the beginning. What I would recommend that you use, I'd get something with bristles. This is great for a bottle cleaner. This is, again, just cheap little ones that you can find at the Dollar Tree or your local grocery store. Just super easy to use. Usually they come in a set with like these here. These I use for nipples. This I use for the bottles. It works great. I also prefer to hand wash my baby's bottles and supplies with a baby wash rag. For me, it just works better. I find that baby wash rags are actually really convenient to use when you're doing the dishes, and this particularly for the bottles. Yes, I keep the dishwashing wash rags separate from the ones I use in the bath, but this is pretty much what you are going to need, as well as a drying rack. Anything like this, anything you can find that is convenient. This just allows the bottles to air dry, everything to air dry without getting mixed up in your other dishes. So you don't need to go fancy. You just kind of need to go with something basic. That's everything I use. Again, if you feel the need to, go ahead and get a sterilizer. Go ahead and get any kind of thing, anything like that that'll help you feel most comfortable with your babies. I feel like I do a pretty good job at very thoroughly hand washing my bottles, but again, you do what you feel like you need to do for you. Now, the last item on my list, the last couple of items, is it's optional. You can easily get away with using a microwave and just testing the bottle on your hand. There's a couple of different ones, but it is a bottle warmer, and I do not have it with me right now because it is currently packed away. I will get it out when baby comes, but it is a bottle warmer, or a baby Breza. The bottle warmer is going to heat the bottle after it's done. Takes a minute or two. I haven't personally used it. I haven't personally felt a need for it. However, with my last baby, I did use the baby Breza, and what it is the instant baby bottle warmer. I'll go ahead and just link that one down below. You can find it on Amazon super cheap. I actually got it off of a recommendation of another YouTuber. But what it is you stick your water in for the day, or and you're going to want to probably switch it out at night, and it instantly heats your baby's water to the temperature that it needs to be done. You don't have to think about it. From there, you put the bottle underneath, press the button on the spout, fill your water up, put your formula in, shake it up. There's no guesswork with the microwave. There's no guesswork with the baby temperature. You don't have to try and test it on your hand to see if it's too hot or too cold. It's just kind of there, and it's convenient, and especially for middle of the night feedings. Wash it once a day. Wash it between, every time the water goes down, then you just wash it, fill it back up with water again. It works like a charm. And another tip, if you are using a microwave, you want to test the baby's bottle right here. If it's too hot for your hand, it's too hot for the baby. If it's really cold, your baby's probably not going to want it. So I find that a nice lukewarm bottle is really what kind of does the trick. These are all of the items that I have used. I have successfully used throughout all of my children, and I plan on using again. And if you'd like to see more formula feeding tips and tricks, I'm kind of thinking I want to do a how to wean your child from formula video. I'm thinking about doing that here soon. If you'd like to see that, let me know. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. Or if it is something more private that you'd like to ask, feel free to go to my Instagram and ask me over there. There's no shame in formula feeding at all. Do it. Do what's best for your child. There's no shame in breastfeeding at all. Do what's best for you. Do what's best for your child. There are many conveniences to both, many benefits, and many hardships to both. So with that, I'd love to have you here. Subscribe if you haven't already. I do videos focusing on beauty and lifestyle, and I will see you in the next video. God bless, and bye guys.